What's up, slashes and slashettes? My name's Nightfall, and welcome to another anime analysis video. Today, we will be discussing the main protagonist of Arifureta from Commonplace to World's Strongest, Hajime Nagumo. Real fast before we get into it, I want to apologize for how long this video is. There was a lot to talk about given the two seasons, and I wanted to mention all the stuff you'll hear later in the video, because I felt I kinda chickened out of doing it in my Anno's vid. So with that out of the way, let's get right into the video! Let's start off in the beginning with the first episode, which starts off strong. In the first 5 minutes, Hajime loses his arm after coming into contact with an extremely powerful monster. So how did that happen? Well, for that, we have to go back in time a couple of days. You see, Hajime, along with his high school classmates and teacher, was summoned to another world. Each person was given different abilities, making some stronger than most. Hajime, however, was given language comprehension, which I assume just lets him understand the language of the world without having to actually learn it, and transmute, which allows him to change the properties of his surrounding environment. And his job was synergist. Basically, he's really good at making things. He and his classmates join the Royal Guard to clear out a labyrinth where we find out Hajime is really underpowered when compared to others, and boy do they let him know. Which makes Hajime a little relatable because, I mean, who hasn't been bullied and put down? But anyways, a moron named Hiyama touches a magic rock and they get transported deeper into the labyrinth, meaning that the monsters they face will be stronger than the ones they may have previously fought. A dragon attacks and Hajime uses transmute to slow it down so the others can get to a safer place. However, it doesn't hold the dragon long, so they tell him to run and they cover him. But one of his classmates directs a shot towards him, leading him to fall further and further down the labyrinth, which is how we end up at his arm being cut off. He then uses his transmute to get away and finds a place full of holy water which keeps him alive. It's here where he goes from a sniveling weakling to, very understandably, batshit crazy due to the betrayal, his missing appendage, and his own weakness. He then goes out and finds some wolf monsters and leads them into a trap and pulls a Rimuru by eating them. This grants him abilities and boosts to his stats while also marking the beginning of a new Hajime Nagumo. So let's delve into why he's so great. Let's talk about the less major reasons. Less major? Why? Less major? Who says that? Let's talk about the minor reasons, such as once Hajime gets the abilities from the wolves, he uses his knowledge from the previous world as well as the knowledge of materials he gets from his new ability mineral appraisal to create a gun. Oh yeah, baby. This man brought guns into this shiz, and as American, that's immediate points. Good job. This also is one of the many scenes that show that he's actually quite intelligent, so you already know that makes him a good character in my eyes. He also creates maps as he delves deeper in the labyrinth and also creates tablets of the recipes for his weapons and things like that. He also proves on multiple occasions that he is an incredible strategist, taking down extremely powerful foes after only shortly meeting them. While he does show his intelligence in battle often, it, along with the non-battle smarts he shows, tends to go under the radar at times and forces you to actually pay attention and think about what he's doing. Also, while his level of sanity is questionable, as he shows with Yue, he not only still has his humanity, but was also blessed with Riz beyond belief. Fun fact, his and Yue's relationship is one of my favorites I've seen in anime. On top of that, the amount of loss he goes through is insane compared to most isekai protagonists, with, notable exceptions. Anywho, he gets weak abilities and a weak job title, is put down and then betrayed by his classmates, loses his arm, is forced to eat monsters which nearly kills him, then he loses his eye in episode 4. I mean, seriously, this man does not catch a break. He's out here looking like the male version of Najinda. Like, there was a reason why I said his craziness was understandable. Dude has it rough. Still, not as rough as you poor soul. But rough nonetheless. Which also helps make him a good protagonist, because without loss, there is no conflict and no improvement, which means there is no story or development either. Speaking of development, another reason I love him as a protagonist is because you get to see his journey from being weak to strong much better than other isekai protagonists. Usually they never really lose and then get stronger, or they're just outright godlike beings to begin with. But with Hajime, it is clearly stated that if it wasn't for Yue and the holy water, he very much would have died multiple times. Call it plot armor, sure, but at least he was still nearly killed, which doesn't happen often, again, besides you, honey, if injuries even happen at all. He's also different from most protagonists because he doesn't care about the world or saving its people at all, and only wants to get home, making for a nice change of pace in terms of heroes. With that segment done, we can get to the longest segment. What truly makes this guy shine as a protagonist in my eyes is how big of a menace this man is. This man's slogan is to literally kill anything and everything that gets in his way. In fact, the very first thing he does once becoming stronger is he goes and finds the bear monster who ate his arm and decides to kill it. This leads to what I consider the first showing of him being a menace. He blows off the bear's arm, and in the middle of fighting, he just starts chowing down on it. The bear ain't even dead yet, and this man's like, nah, let me grab a snack real quick. After taking care of that old friend of his, he decides to go deeper and deeper into the labyrinth where he eventually finds Yue sealed away. And as soon as he sees her, he turns around and starts walking out the door because, and I quote, he's not an idiot and he's busy. Yue is locked up and begging for help, and this man is just like, nah, I got work to do, peace. Then later, she gets mind controlled by a monster that uses her as a meat shield, even though she's built like drywall, and tells Hajime not to worry about her and just to shoot. So he does, with a smile on his face and no hesitation. Later on, he fights the Hydra, and remember how I said he lost his eye? Well, yeah, it was during this fight. Now, he does get knocked unconscious and some other things happen, but as for his eye, well, it doesn't even seem to affect this dude. He just saw his girl getting her ass beat and was like, "Aight, you can take my eye, but touching my lolly is off limits," and then proceeds to blow it the fuck up. Also, it's worth mentioning that for the first half of the first season, this man is doing all of this with one arm and is still whooping ass. Then we meet Shia, a bunny girl, and when she begs him for his help, she attaches onto his leg and refuses to let go, saying he'd just walk away if she did. And of course, he's like, well, yeah, no duh, girl, I don't know you, so fix your own problems. About a minute later, after one-shotting a dinosaur creature for roaring at him, he even goes as far as to point a gun at her. Like, this dude has no chill and no care for people anymore. He then later calls her a worthless rabbit and tosses her into the sky so she can be bait for dragons. He also tried to train the rabbit people, and it got to the point where he eventually said, either kill something or I'm murking all y'all here and now. Chop chop, bunnies. For real, I feel like Hajime and Tanya would be great friends. After defeating Melody Raisin, the boss of the second labyrinth, she uses the last of her energy, not really, but Hajime doesn't know that, to give her some time to speak to him, and how does he respond? By telling her to shut up and die, because he doesn't want to hear it. In episode 8, he meets back up with his teacher Aiko and a small group of classmates. After ignoring and brushing off Aiko and her questions, a knight gets mouthy, and Hajime very politely asks him to mind his manners. He then threatens Shia and tries to draw a sword on Yue, but Hajime very politely shoots him and asks him to mind his manners. Man knows proper table etiquette. Still, all of this has nothing on what he did to Tio. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't want to. He double-tapped a classmate when he lied to him and killed multiple gangs of slave traders without even batting an eye. He insulted and wiped the floor with Katlia in episode 13 and pulled a gun on the hero himself while calling him a coward. And all of this only took place in the first season. So with that out of the way, let's continue this special episode by moving on to season 2. To start off this season 2 segment, let's frame it in the same way we did season 1's, starting off with the things not being a menace related. That would what is up with me and saying weird things that nobody says? Let's start off with the minor reasons. I could have just said that. What is with my segues today? First up, this kinda also happened in season 1, but you really see it in season 2, and that is this man is a damn good father to Mew, and even ends up agreeing to come back no matter what to come and get her and bring her back to Japan when they find a way to leave. Whilst on the topics of relationships, Hajime and Yue are still an amazing couple, and I love the interactions they have together. It really helps show that they both saved each other, both literally and figuratively, and it's an unbreakable bond they share. Which also leads into the next topic where he talks to Kaori. Now, now I'm getting good at segues. Just you guys wait. It gets better. Anywho, he tells her that if being around him is going to hurt her, then she should leave, and says that his love for Yue will never change. And while some may think this is him being a dick, this is honestly the best thing he could have done for her, as it sets boundaries and gives the truth clearly so she won't keep hurting herself believing she can change his mind. And while, yes, this doesn't work and she chooses to stay, this, along with, him literally admitting she's important to him, showed that he wasn't doing it to hurt her, but rather trying to help. On top of him trying to help Kaori, he comforts Aiko in episodes 10 and 12 when she's distraught about blowing up an entire church and killing everyone inside. And later, Hajime also comforts Shizuku after Kaori's presumed death. These last three topics I discussed, the conversation with Kaori and him comforting Aiko and Shizuku, show that he isn't evil or isn't capable of showing compassion. It shows that he still has a piece of humanity in him, and while he may not open up to them about everything he does or feels, he still does feel a level of connection with certain characters, which gives even more depth to his own. Now on to the fun part. Let's get right back into talking about how much of a menace this man is. Now, Season 2 starts off rather slow in the menace department. He pulls more women with his godly riz, makes snarky remarks whenever he can, and threatens to throw Tio into lava. That pretty much covers, I believe, the first 3 to 4 episodes, but it picks right up when he is ambushed by Freed Bagua, another high-ranking demon. This man takes Uranus's breath, which is an attack that can evaporate buildings, and starts shit-talking this dude, asking about Freed's friend and wondering if he's doing well after Hajime blew off his arm. After that, he proceeds to fight Freed while being so injured that firing his own gun causes his arm to bleed. And you know what happens? Freed fucking flees. How's that for some alliteration? Yeah, this demon ambushed Hajime, severely injured him, and then proceeded to run away while admitting he was scared. Yeah, Hajime was half dead and scared a demon into fleeing. This man is a beast. Anywho, much later, okay, Kaori gets body snatched, and basically whatever was in her body, I can't remember if it was a ghost or if it even said what it was, but it doesn't matter. The body snatcher warns Hajime that trying to hurt it will only hurt Kaori, so he uses magic bullets that don't have an effect on Kaori, but will hurt like hell to the entity. And, oh no, he wasn't just going to kill it outright. No, that'd be too fast. He threatened it, saying that if it didn't leave, he would sit there shooting it and torturing it, all because it chose the body of someone important to him. Bro didn't even hesitate when it came to the idea of torturing it. Then in a later episode, Noint appears and disintegrates half a building, and what does Hajime do? He smiles and says, "Bring it on," and then proceeds to badmouth her god to her face in the middle of the fight. This man has no chill at all. And of course, episode 11. The main reason as to why I decided to make this a character analysis instead of a normal anime one. Remember Hiyama, the guy I called a moron at the beginning of the video? Yeah, well, hey, Bing Bong, he kills Kaori, and shortly after, Hajime shows up. Not only that, but he proceeds to murk the entire military force that was there and sends Hiyama flying out of the arena to get torn apart by demons led by Freed, who then begins to gloat about the amount of soldiers he has. To which Hajime does what any normal anime protagonist would do, and calls in an orbital laser and evaporates all of them. An orbital laser. When did he even make that? Anywho, the final scene that proves he's a menace, about time this video is far longer than I wanted, is actually how the season ends, with him allowing some of his classmates to tag along on the adventure, so he can use them as human shields and bait should the need arise. Even when they thought he was just being nice, he was still being a menace. And that is why I believe he is one of the greatest Isekai protagonists. So, I remember watching this when the first season came out, and I stopped after meeting Tio. I don't really know why. I think I just didn't have time. I'm not sure, but either way, I didn't remember this anime being this good, and I guess I didn't pay attention to how badass Hajime is, because holy crap! In fact, looking back on it right now, I should have made this an installment of Anime's Index of Badassery. So yeah, you know what? I'm actually gonna make this an honorary addition to that series, because honestly, he truly deserves to be there. With that out of the way, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I will hopefully see you all soon. Goodbye.